Elliot Page? No.
We can move on to that and talk about that because I've never seen a show do this before. But
I've never seen the show.
Yes, as you know, Ellen Page has transitioned into Elliot Page, and he had a character on Umbrella Academy.
Real quick, you did commit a really bad faux pas by dead naming him, but that's okay.
Sorry.
No, because we're still figuring this shit out. But no, since we're figuring it out, let's tell you.
Question to trans people that would listen to this.
Yes.
Is it dead naming if I'm saying they transitioned from that person to this person?
That's a good question.
If it is, I apologize. If not,
I think the very act of saying the name is dead naming no matter what.
Okay, then I apologize.
I don't know,
Elliot Page has transitioned.
Yes.
And that is who he is now. And he had a character on Umbrella Academy, which I've yet to watch. I've been meaning to.
See, me too. But it's on Netflix. I don't watch Netflix.
My wife really likes it, and she's been telling me to watch it. So
I've heard nothing but good stuff.
Yes, everybody that I've talked to loves it.
Yeah.
So his character is being transitioned in the show.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I've never seen this before. So his original character, they've written it into the season that person is transitioning
Have
into.
they ever, I don't know if they've ever had any, that I can think of, like a popular television show or movie that has, that has kind of recorded or followed a transition like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's really dude. That is gonna
even before
be
this
so good for the trans community to have that.
Yeah, even before this, they changed his name on Netflix.
Yeah, they'd already changed it in the credits and everything, which is really cool.
Now it's Elliot Page.
But I don't think they've ever documented or even fictionally documented in that I can think of. Maybe I don't watch there are a couple of queer centric shows that I've never watched, like the L Word. There's a couple other ones.
Well, I mean,
but I don't know.
Orange is the New Black. One of the main characters is trans.
There's some queer centric storytelling on that show.
Isn't it like Leota Brown? I think is her name.
Laverne Cox is actually a transgender woman.
Yeah. Why did I think? Where the fuck did?
And
Leota
here's
Brown
the thing.
come from?
Here's the thing. And
it's a weird name.
It doesn't change at all. But knowing that at one point that
I take that back. You're right. Orange is the New Black. They incorporate her transition into the story.
Because her brother actually plays her as
a male.
A man. Yeah. So that they don't have to do a bunch of makeup and stuff.
Sure.
But all I gotta say is this: Laverne Cox is she's attractive. She's incredible. I think.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would agree.
You know what I mean? I was like, wow, that's really attractive. First time I saw her or whatever, and it gave me maybe a slight pause when I learned that she was a trans person, but only a slight one. You know what I mean? I was like, well, she's still really hot.
Yeah. If I'm being totally honest, I had a conversation about this with some friends.
And it's really about the person inside anyway.
In terms of trans, I hate the term. I hate the term trans.
It sounds so bad.
Not even that. It's like we should just drop that out completely and just be like, that's who they are, But I know that we're not there as a society.
Well, part of the thing that I went to today, part of the reason in our state right now, you can't get any of that gender reaffirming or reassignment medical treatment. You have to, if you're transitioning from one gender to another in the state of Iowa, you have to go out of state for surgical procedures and hormone therapy.
The reason I hate
that's fucked up.
The reason I hate the term is I think it sounds weird I know that's the term that they use, but it just seems weird, and I feel
to mom and pop America in middle America and shit. Yeah, it sounds weird.
No, the reason I think it's weird is like we were talking about I was talking about some friends. I wish it didn't exist because it should just be like, okay, that's Elliot Page. And I know I accidentally dead named her earlier, or dead named him. Jesus Christ, this is complicated.
I know, right? And no, I was only pointing that out to educate our listeners.
Yes.
I know that you're a good guy. I don't need to educate you.
I'm not trying to offend anyone, but with that. But I just wish that...
You know what? Fuck it. Let's go on Fox
Jesus,
News,
man.
Sorry. You know what? Let's just go on Fox News. I know why they do it.
I wish... It's just easier. It's just easier to be bigoted, I swear.
They were trying to do a trans
I'm convinced that's true. Boomers are like, you know what? It's too
complicated.
There's all these damn genders and stuff. It's just easier to be a bigot.
I think. Well, we do know that is the case, though.
It's true, yeah. But
it is easier to
I just
to
wish
understand.
that, but I think it's very important that they're incorporating Elliot's story into the narrative of Umbrella Academy, and I think it's important that a company like Netflix already changed his name and already I've done a lot of this stuff to be more inclusive. I mean, granted, they do have a fucking turf on there, Dave Chappelle, but and they'll gladly.
What's turf again?
There's something trans exclusionary something female for female. I don't fucking know.
It's also what J.K. Rowling.
J.K. Rowling, please,
is a piece of
for
shit.
the love of God, you are a billionaire at this point. Shut the fuck up.
Wow.
Please shut your mouth. I'm so sick of you. I am so sick of you attacking small content creators that are trans. I'm tired of you sicking your fiend of. And it's frustrating because my wife loves Harry Potter,
A lot of people do.
and it's challenging because
There's a third fucking movie coming out soon.
fuck Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah, I agree.
Mostly because it's like, you really gonna milk that one, Rowling?
The only thing I like about it is that Sam Waterston's daughter is in it, and weirdly enough, has not been seen in any of the promotional materials, especially since she's been very vocal against J.K. Rowling's sentiment.
Weird.
That's weird that she
But
hasn't.
it's
been
frustrating because Harry Potter is
Fans have noticed.
is such an important franchise for so many people, and my wife loves Harry Potter, and
For kids.
and she struggles with it because, like, J.K. Rowling's a piece of shit. Like, she's awful. She's a horrible human, and it's really unfortunate. And the reason I hate her so much now is because, she, like I said, she spouts off and she sends her millions of sycophantic followers after like small trans creators that dare speak out against her. And
She's causing violence indirectly.
yes, and her own
her words.
she has used her own level of her own trauma. I don't know the story exactly, but I think it's something relating to her being assaulted by a trans man. I don't know. Point is, she has used her trauma to attack trans people.
Yeah.
Repeatedly, and I'm sorry, JK, but when fucking Vladimir Putin is using you as like kindred spirits while he is a war-hungry, awful child
Yikes.
that are killing children in Ukraine,
Yeah.
you should maybe look in the mirror and maybe you just do like Harry Potter and you take a little wand and you just like forget that you're a horrible piece of shit, but you are. And I know you'll never hear this, but maybe if I tweeted her, maybe. But like, it's so frustrating to see that level of transphobia and being a TERF, but it is reassuring to see something like Umbrella Academy or something like Orange is the New Black, who even was predating that, of showing that, like, hey, there's nothing wrong with this. And there shouldn't be a problem, and there shouldn't be a stigma. And
See,
it's just frustrating. It really is. Because, again,
when I was
I don't know. For the most part, I can separate the art from the artist, but really lately she keeps shooting her mouth off, and it's like there's a new Harry Potter game coming out, Hogwarts, and it looks dope. It looks awesome, but I'm also like, I don't think I want to give that money to those. And then it's like, well, what about the developers and all that? And it's like,
yeah, let's be honest. Boycotting is never going to hurt the people
no,
you really
it
want
won't.
to hurt.
It won't. They'll keep making Harry Potter games. They'll keep making
gonna
Harry
hurt
Potter
yeah,
movies.
it's going to hurt the people who put their blood, sweat, and tears into it.
Yeah. And I don't want to hurt the hardworking people.
See, when I was a young kid, like 70s or 80s, there was a TV movie I remember about the surgeon who transitioned from a man to a woman. And I remember...
launch J.K. Rowling into the sun. That's my requirement.
I remember...
Then I will like Harry Potter again.
I remember the thing is that it was a woman who played the part throughout the movie, and when she was when the actress was playing the character or the person in the biopic as she was before transition, which is a man, they basically taped down her boobs and like gave her a fake beard.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like super like, convincing that this actress was a man transit. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It wasn't very convincing. It was like, oh, now she's.
Honestly, the same people that would be like that would be TERFs now would be the same people that would have men dress up as women on stage for plays because women weren't allowed to be actresses.
Right. And here's the thing, like, Monty Python, they used to dress up as women characters, but mainly for a practical reason. They didn't want to pay anybody else.
Here's another example.
They couldn't afford, so they were just like, fuck it.
Here's another example of maybe this being projection. Take example for Steven Crowder. He really, for someone who is very anti-trans and anti-gay, the dude loves to dress up as a woman for skits. Awful lot.
Yeah, right.
Just saying. Might be a little projection, Stevie. Just saying.
Maybe he's mad at all the visibility on his trans.
It's all the same, dude. It's all the same. It's just like the politics.
Self-loathing.
Those same politicians that want to take away trans rights and attack gay people and attack gay marriage are probably having sex with gay prostitutes. Sorry, sex workers. Because now that I'm getting a little frustrated because I feel like prostitute isn't that offensive a term, but now it is.
No, I'm saying like, I mean, is that?
I don't know if it is or it isn't. I'm trying, everybody. I'm trying. I fucking dead named someone on accident. I'm trying. I'm trying.
That's the third time that you brought it back up.
Because
like,
I bring it up because I feel bad.
Well, don't feel bad. I think
what I'm trying to say is, look, because
you're learning.
I'm showing remorse for doing it, while other people that do it intentionally won't.
And I think what you said about the fact that you were saying that so-and-so was transitioning,
yeah.
I think that you are okay with that. I think you are.
No, I'm glad we had the conversation because I've been meaning to talk about J.K. Rowling and just like believe it or not, trans people are being under attack right now, and
not absolutely. And by the way, if you don't know what non-binary means, basically like it would be if I decided that that I would have women's clothing and things like makeup and whatnot that are more feminine accessories and dressing and whatnot. What it basically would mean is that if I felt like waking up and wearing a dress and makeup and stuff, even though I'm a cis man, I would be I think it's trans femme or something like that. But non-binary means that I don't subscribe to either male or female. Right. What's the word? Societal norms.
Well, it's also
so
there's a difference between sex and gender.
Right. And that would be my gender. In other words, like I wouldn't like. Generally, I don't put on skirts because A, they're not really comfortable, and B, it's not societally acceptable for a straight man to wear a skirt, and that's fine.
Because if I remember correctly, sex is just saying that yes, male or female, but gender is what you identify as.
Yeah, that's what non-binary is talking about. Your gender, like they just don't subscribe to I'm boy or I'm girl.
There's your history lesson, Dave Chappelle and J.K. Rowling. There's your history.
It's really easy once you talk it out, isn't it? It's like, oh, hey, that makes sense. You remember how I do gotta apologize to Ezra Miller because you remember how I made fun of how he looked before that promo?
How they look, Tyler. See, it's hard.
How they looked.
Hard.
Do you remember how I made fun of how they looked because they had?
Yeah.
That is what non-binary is.
Yeah.
If he wants to have makeup on his face, but also his chest hair popping out, if they want to have.
I told you it's hard.
If they want to have makeup on their face and they also want to have their chest hair popping out of a low-cut shirt, that is their right because they're non-binary.
You know what? You're trying. I'm trying. Everybody's trying because, again, if we didn't, we would just be bigoted.
I apologize to you for making fun of that. I was making fun of their appearance. Fuck.
Yeah. Stop it. You're digging out. Also, I want to be clear. You're not a bigot if you don't understand it.
No, but you're a bigot if you don't try to.
If you're J.K. Rowling, you're a bigot.
If you don't try to evolve and grow as a human being, once you learn that you have made somebody's life.
If you're Dave Chappelle, you're a bigot.
Yeah,
there's a difference.
I mean, I've heard that he's trying to be better.
Fuck him.
Okay.
Because this is the same guy who, in that same stand-up special, spent so long trashing trans people, and then don't punch down on my people, talking about black people. And it's like, you can't have it both ways, Dave.
Yeah, Dave.
Again, you won't ever hear this, but which just sucks because Dave Chappelle's a great comedian. He's one of my favorites. He's one of the best in my mind, but I hate it. I don't know. This got on a weird philosophical talk about
I'm glad we had this.
And and I am too, because I hope that we see more trans representation in movies, because that's one of the biggest things we've championed in this podcast, and I'll continue to do it. I think it's important to have representation. It's important that movies like Turning Red can come out and have those conversations of puberty and becoming a woman, and
there was
having more interpretation. But I will say, going back to Disney, where they cut out a same-sex relationship in Lightyear, but then they put it back in from employee outrage over it. I don't buy that it's anything more than just two women kissing or two dudes kissing or two dudes holding hands or like a gay couple holding hands. It's never going to be what we want it to be, because we still, as a society, like, I don't know why change is so hard and slow for society, but it is. And you and I have talked about this in the podcast before. Everybody talks about, like, well, I hate it when they have to when they make a gay character, they have to, like, make them flamboyant, or they have to make that a part of their identity. It's like, well, we have to, because it's not mainstream to a lot of people. It's not. So, unfortunately, I would love to be in a world where a character can exist, and there are examples of this, but when they're a character that is a minority, that they're just a character, and they don't have a reflection of being black or whatever. But that's also a part of their identity, and it's this interesting balance of where you don't want it to feel like virtue signaling, but then you also don't want it. You want it to be central to their character, but then you don't want to feel like you have to draw too much attention to it. And I think that's just kind of the problem is we're not in a place where we could just be like, oh, that's just a trans person.
Well, I had a friend.
They've been with us this whole time.
I lived in Denver down the street. Yeah, for
forever.
By the way, I don't know if you know this, but a lot of ancient civilizations looked on trans bodies as holy, as like lucky.
Well, and a lot of ancient civilizations. Yeah, no, we're not getting into that.
Just saying.
No,
anyway,
but I agree with you.
But I had a friend, I lived back in Denver, down the street from me, and he had the best single malt scotch collection I've ever seen in my life. Actually went to Scotland and got to brew some single malt scotch, which, jealous, right?
But I don't really like scotch.
No, that's okay. I'm saying I'm jealous.
Oh, you're the Scotch.
You'd still like to go to Scotland and brew scotch, wouldn't you?
I'd love to go to Scotland.
And it's single malt scotch. It's
I
not
have
the
a
same
have a
shit as
nice
we
glass of scotch.
But here's the thing: is I worked with him for about 3 weeks, and then we were going out after the bar closed, and one of the waitresses, we were having a cigarette outside, and she's like, and we were talking and then she goes, "Wait, you don't know Clark's gay?" And I was like,
okay.
Like, it just didn't really matter to me.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, okay, that's interesting about him, but like that doesn't change how I view him or like treat him. And the thing about it, like, he and I, would end up, having, sipping scotch and, smoking weed or whatever at the very end of the night or whatever, and before I went home or whatever. And he would lament. He'd be like, the thing is like, I'm a gay man, but I don't, with the quotes, I don't act gay.
Sure.
And
he's not like the traditional, like,
he actually told me once, he was like, I can't stand flamboyantly gay men. Like, I can't stand them. Which sucks, because the only men that were attracted to him were flamboyantly gay men. So, like, I remember, kind of having that discussion with him, and like, do you think that there are people out there who maybe wouldn't be as flamboyant, but they are because they're trying to be more because they've hit it for so long?
And keep in mind, this is coming from a perspective of two straight white men.
Totally. But just saying, like, that happens too. So, it's not always about like, my friend was not going around everywhere with a big sign that says "I'm gay" on his shirt,
and
he wasn't hiding it. But
they shouldn't have to.
It wasn't necessarily part of his identity.
And and again, back to what I'm saying.
It's really up to the person.
That's kind of always been what we've talked about. Is like it's complex, because we shouldn't have to draw so much attention to characters being gay or trans or whatever the case may be. But you have to kind of explain it. And I think that's what's, and I know we don't really veer into politics very much on this show, but like the "don't say gay" stuff in Florida, the reason why it's so offensive to people is
they're still existing.
Well, this is the problem. Like, they shouldn't bring up sexual orientation. Nobody, I promise you, nobody in kindergarten through third grade, which is who this bill affects, is going like, look, kids, let's talk about homosexual sex. Let's talk about being gay. Nobody's talking about that. It's only the lawmakers that did it, the bigots that do it, who again go revert back to the gay panic, who assume that gay people are just pedophiles by nature for whatever reason. And what it really is, it's like it's bad because those like one teacher said it best from Florida that's gay, who said like, well, what if we're having like show and tell, and I tell the kids like, oh, my husband and I went kayaking this weekend. I can't say that by law because that's me expressing my sexual orientation. Now, do you understand how fucked up that is and how that is oppressive to a group of people?
And notice also that he didn't say, my husband and I were butt fucking each other this weekend.
It would be the same if I said in the class, my wife and I went kayaking. It's the same thing.
Has nothing to do with sex.
No.
Well,
no.
It shows that you're straight because you have a wife.
The people that
but that's still not
the people
sexual.
that oppose this, the people that they call it an anti-grooming bill, are full of shit because they know that their argument is horseshit and bigoted because they're the only ones that they have to revert to this idea being a pedophile bill to get people to side with them. They have to go to the levels of saying that all gay people that would ever bring this up, and again, would be in passing to be like, oh, my husband and I did this, or my, if it's a woman, my wife and I did this. They have to go to that level, and it's the same shit. And and again, I hope that
it's from a place of hate.
But
and
you know
fear,
what? You know what?
We're done with that in this world.
Here's what I'll say with the don't say gay stuff and the Elliot Page, all this broad talking about trans representation and gay representation in media and stuff. I will say this. I am not at all worried about this next generation.
No.
Because time and time again, this generation that's coming up, these Gen Z kids are showing me time and time again that our future is in a good hands.
Oh,
because you have seen walkout after walkout after walkout at these high schools of these kids going and holding signs and protesting and walking out of class because they know the truth. They know because they had good parents, because they had good systems, and this is what we're trying to say and what we've been trying to say. If you include that Elliot Page is a man, which he is, and he's a man in this show, and if you say and you expose kids to a young age, there's nothing wrong with gay people, and there's nothing wrong with trans people. When you expose that to people, they'll fight for those people's rights.
Suicide is one of the highest rates of death in the trans community.
They will fight for those people's rights because they know that, hey, at the end of the day, we're all human, and you should be able to be, because, God damn it, here I am on my soapbox. This is America. This is America. This is the country that bangs on the drum of freedom. And if I can't be who I want to be in this country, whether I want to be a man, identify as non-binary, if I want to be gay, I should be able to do that because this is America. And if you can't do whatever you want in this country, then what the fuck are you doing here?
So you're saying, I just want to actually offer.
And now I'm done.
I want to offer some proof before we go. That you're right about this new generation, because there were quite a few younger kids at the rally today getting up to speak and stuff. And this 14-year-old trans man, high school kid, fresh person, ninth grade.
Well, freshman is just the title.
Ninth grade.
You don't say fresh woman.
Green hair. Everybody had spoke, so the person who was speaking was like, "Hey, if anybody wants to come up from the community and tell their story or whatever, come on up." And this person, Morgan, was the first person to get up, and he was like, "Do you mind if I read some poetry?" And you could tell that the transition was recent, like this person had just started transitioning, so you could still kind of see the feminine kind of things, and but they were very much whatever, and they read this poem that was 14 years old. They read this poem. This person read this poem that was fucking 10 times better than the shit that I wrote yesterday, and I've been writing for like 30 years. I'm serious. I was like, wow. Yeah. And the person that spoke right before him, Joe, wow. Can't wait to see him get into politics, because holy shit. I'm If you had gone to the rally with me, you'd be like, yep, I know that because I witnessed it today. The next generation.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that my generation, as a fucking Xer, is the ones that started naming kids Aiden and shit and all those stupid names, and also did all this. Okay, because it's my dumb fucking generation that are the mama bears and shit up and fucking ankety and whatnot.
And to put a cap on this, with trans athletes and stuff like that, Utah, I'm going to use that as an example.
Yeah.
Utah had the anti-trans legislation. Of course, we have, here in Iowa, we have a piece of shit named Kim Reynolds.
Yeah, I was like, hold my
governor.
beer. Literally.
They passed anti-trans legislation for athletes, but they of the whole state, there were 4 trans athletes. 4. That's 0.0005% of their population. So, it's not very big.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to hurt sports.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you never gave a fuck about women's sports beforehand. You don't care about it now. You just want a reason to hate trans people.
Nobody also says anything about a woman transitioning to being a man and playing man sports.
Nope.
Also, if you're not, So
yeah. I'm really glad we had this discussion because I'm glad that was kind of a jumping off point. Because I've been wanting to talk about this for a while.
No, there's no 13-year-old boy in junior high right now going, man, you know, I'd really like to be good at sports. Well, I got an idea. Why don't I lop my dick off and go through transitioning to be a transition into a woman so that I can compete against girls?
I couldn't beat guys. Yeah, that makes sense.
Nobody's doing that. Nobody's doing.
Most people that
on top of the puberty and everybody hating me because I just don't wear the right clothes, I want to make my life tougher.
It's like
also,
we said,
it's not a decision that proves that it's a fucking...
I think what it is like I said, it's just easier to...
It's not a choice.
It's easier to reject...
who you are.
It's easier to reject new ideas, and it's easier to reject change. And I feel like a lot of people just dig their heels in on that, and I think it's silly, and I think it's...
because learning is hard.
We should always be trying to progress as a species, and...
Well, boomers made our society so that as soon as you're done with college, you shouldn't have to learn anything ever again.
No.
Which is stupid because...
Even though you're learning every
day. Yeah, because we started realizing, like, wait, that's stupid. That's dumb. And then, wow, people are going back to college at 40. That didn't happen during the boomers' time.
And like you mentioned suicide. Yeah, at the end of the day, I don't want people to kill themselves.
Yeah.
I don't. I want them to live happy and be who they want to be.
I want them to have a reason to go, let me give it one more day.
Exactly. And that's what
I heard this podcast where these two idiots were trying to figure out this thing.
These 2 straight white men were talking about
trans issues. But they were being very compassionate and trying to figure it out, and that gave me hope for the fucking future.
Yeah, I've always kind of wanted to talk about just like trans representation in media.
I got a flag.
And we're not on video, but he's waving it. You've done more than I mean, I couldn't really go to the rally.
I go to protests a lot.
I just had a baby, so I can't really go.
I go to protests a lot, so it's our right as an American citizen.
Yes.
Free to talk about fucking rights, Republicans. And then Tyler just caused everybody to turn it off.
This is a long episode, hour and a half. So
I think it needed to be done. I'm really glad.
I'm gonna clip off the transgender stuff. The trans representation and just this whole conversation in general. I want to clip that off and put it on our YouTube channel, and so people can just listen to this part, because I think it's important that we have. And you know what? I keep bringing up the joke that we're 2 straight white men, but you and I need to have these conversations, and straight people need to have these conversations, because and you talk about going to that protest and stuff. At the end of the day, we need to be the ones that lead the charge and say we are allies, because they need help just as much as anybody else. And I think that having us be the majority is very important. Before we go, is there anything... Wow, we got... that's what I love about this show, is how conversational it is, and I think it's important to have that conversation.